Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. This show is about one thing and one thing only, turning your gym into a thriving business you love to own. So if you want to know what it really takes to grow your membership, make more money, and build a rock-solid community of raving fans, you've come to the right place. All this information is 100% free, so please subscribe to and review our podcast. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Gym Breakthrough Podcast. I am Marcus Gurzy, and I am here with the lovely Emily Schneller, Breakthrough Specialist and Program Manager here at Gym Breakthrough. And today we're going to be talking about how to make your services priceless so you can stop competing on price and start charging what you're worth with confidence.
I'm excited for the episode. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty awesome. It's a beautiful day. Hard to complain. Life is pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, it's rainy here. Rainy New Orleans, cold day. But life's good. Yeah. Before we get started, I have a question for you, Marcus. This will tie into what we're talking about later in the episode, but I want to know what is a piece of advice that you've received that you didn't listen to, but you wish that you had?
Well, there's probably a pretty long list I could pull from, but what comes to mind is getting out of my own way as quickly as possible. And I had a mentor of mine tell me that early on in my career. And he said, look, as you're building your companies, you want to, you're going to be doing everything at first, and you wear every hat, and it's going to be crazy. But your goal should be to get out of your own way as quickly as you can, so that the things that you're maybe not as good at doing or don't enjoy doing start being done by other people or being outsourced, so they can be done better, they can be done faster, and so that I can focus on the things that I enjoy doing most and the things that I am best at doing, right? We all have natural strengths and weaknesses. And the more time and energy you spend on the things that you don't enjoy and aren't particularly great at doing, the harder it is, the less enjoyable the process, and the lower the quality of the output is too. And I took that for face value and didn't listen for quite some time. Although I understood the concept, I kind of felt like, yeah, well, that doesn't apply to me. I feel like I can do a lot of different things. And the more iterations I went through, so the more companies I built over the years, the more it started to make sense. And now when I start a project, I try to think as far ahead as I can, thinking, okay, well, here's maybe where we're starting, but right out of the gate, I'm going to try to take all the things that at least are the highest on the list of the things that I don't enjoy or aren't particularly great at. And I'm going to outsource those so that I can pick up as much speed as I can and put people or processes or companies in place to cover that so that I can stay in my zone. And it's proven to be something that is allowed me to grow much better, much quicker, and enjoy the process, where usually I would get stuck in that for years before I would either figure it out or just get over it and move on to the next thing.
So you felt like you could do it faster and better, and it was easier for you to do it yourself than ask somebody else to do it, as that was kind of what was going on in your head, why you didn't listen?
Yep. Totally thought I could pull it off. And the reality is that, regardless of how confident you might be and or willing to outwork it, not that I thought that I was so great at doing all these things. I really was kind of just banking on the fact that I'll outwork everybody. Mm-hmm. And that was something that was ingrained in me at a young age, where my parents, hardworking small business owners were like, well, when push comes to shove, you just push harder, work harder, go do more hours and figure it out. So that was my answer was, well, then I'll just keep working.
Everything.
Right. But the reality is that my quality of life went in the toilet because it turned into endless work days and weekends and doing a lot of things that really just sucked the life right out of me. And so nowadays it's a very different approach than it once was.
Yeah, no, it makes me think. I was interviewed earlier this week, actually, on a time management podcast. And she asked me, like, what's your secret to getting done all of these things? Like, how are you so effective in all of these roles and positions and companies? And my number one answer was my team. Like, I could not do all that I do without delegating to my team. Something though that I have tried to get better at this year is, like, say I delegate a task and say something happens and it wasn't done right or whatever. and it comes across my desk first, instead of just fixing it for the person, I'll shoot them an email and I'll be like, no, this wasn't done right. That needs to be done this way. Because otherwise you've delegated the task. But if you're constantly stepping behind and fixing things, then that'll keep happening. So I'm really trying to be intentional about, no, this is your job now. I'm not fixing it anymore. Here's the tools to get it done right. So yeah. Same kind of vein as you.
Totally. And that's, when it comes to management, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes a lot of newer managers will do, is that they delegate it out, but the second that something's not right, they just go back in and fix it themselves, rather than sitting down with the individual and saying, okay, well, how can we improve the supporting documents or your education or training to get you to be able to do this? Fix it through them, even if it takes longer and it costs a little bit more, right? But the outcome is exactly what you're talking about. It's about actually being able to scale that team and building a team that can actually execute on your behalf, so that you can be a more effective manager in whatever other projects you want to do.
Yeah. And I think that that's a really good segue into what we're talking about today, with, making sure that you're charging what you're worth, and making sure that you're not selling a commodity that is a gym membership. Because if you do spend some time early on the sales process and really dig in and, set expectations with these new members and set goals with them and milestones, it's a lot of work on the front end, but in the back end, you'll be grateful for the work that you put in.
100%. Yeah. It's a topic we see so many gym owners struggle with. They know they're not charging enough, and they're dying on the vine business wise, because they're flat out just not able to charge what they need to be able to charge. Yet they don't know how to better communicate their value to prospective members who are, shopping for a new gym, let alone better communicating their value in their marketplace and standing out from the crowd. So it checks a lot of the big boxes that a lot of gyms are constantly asking us for help with, whether it's, hey, how do I make my marketing more effective? Or how do I convert better for people who come in? Or it's, short-term retention. These are all side effects of this not being dialed in. So I'm excited to get into it with you today.
Yeah, let's do it.
So like you mentioned, Emily, if you're in the business of trying to sell gym memberships, you are playing a losing game. And that may sound crazy, because you're like, yeah, but isn't that exactly what we do? But if you come at it from that standpoint, gym memberships are a commodity. And as long as your offer looks, sounds, and smells just like everybody else's, then your marketplace is going to have a really difficult time understanding your true value. And you're going to have a really difficult time making any money in this business, because you're going to have to keep up with whatever all the other gyms that are selling memberships in your area are doing, which probably isn't anything that is going to move you closer to your goals, right? And we've all heard the race to the bottom. Oh, this guy now started discounting his stuff, and now I have to discount my stuff to keep up. Wrong approach. Do not go down that path, right? They give it away for cheaper. Now, so do you. Race to the bottom in most cases, which you most certainly do not want to be a part of, because everybody loses that game eventually. Remember, most gyms fail. And I don't say that to be negative or to, take the fun out of this for anyone. But the reason why most gyms fail, just like most small businesses fail, is because they're trying to wing it. They're just doing what everybody else is doing. And it's just a big, sad case of the blind leading the blind. And the unfortunate reality is that when you're just copying what everyone else is doing and everyone else doesn't know what they're doing, you're copying the wrong solution, right? And that's why this in particular, this episode today is, I think, such a heavy hitting topic, because it really does resolve so many of those challenges, and it can really save your business in most cases.
Yeah, it makes me think of a client that I worked with recently, and a lot of times people, even if they've been in business for a while, they don't know what they should charge. They don't know how to put a value around, the value that they're bringing to the table. How much should I charge for that? Gym Breakthrough has a great tool to figure out exactly how much you should be charging, and it works amazing. But I was having a call with a client, and we set her prices. We agreed upon it. She was very confident that she helps get people results. And we ended the conversation. And she came back a week later, and she's like, Emily, I looked at what the gym down the street is doing and they're charging so much less than this. I think I set my prices too high. And I'm like, no, we just had this conversation. You feel really good that you can get the people the results that they're after. And what is that worth to people? Like, what is losing 50 pounds worth to people? These people are in dire straits when they come to you, and you are effective in helping them solve that problem. And what do you think that that is worth to them? So you have to be
Exactly.
very confident about, what you bring to the table and how much it is worth to solve that kind of big problem for people.
100%. I mean, that's you're talking about, I think, one of the biggest like mental breakthroughs that most gym owners need to make is that you're not in the business of selling memberships. You're in the business of solving problems for people. And when you really look at the problems that we get to solve for people in this business, these are huge. These are things that are so powerful in their life. I mean, it's not just about the 20 pounds that they maybe thought that's why they're reaching out for, right? It's because they're tired of being self-conscious and, not being, being able to go to the beach and enjoy themselves. And they feel self-conscious in front of their spouse, or they're having a hard time dating because of it. And it affects their confidence at work and their relationships and
pictures with their family, like
everything.
not memories. Yeah.
Right. And this is just one small example, right? About like the weight piece. And there are so many bigger things, getting people out of pain and avoiding the hell that their life will become, because it only gets worse. It doesn't get better, right? If you're struggling with your weight in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it's only going to get worse. Unless you solve the issue, it's going to keep getting worse. And the reality is that when you're in the business of solving problems for people and actually helping get over these challenges, which is we solve so many more problems than they even realize through this business, because there's also the social piece and all these we make working out fun for the first time for most people. There's so much to this. But when you're in the business of solving problems, it makes you priceless, because avoiding all of that medication and issues and feeling insecure for the rest of your life and things getting worse and so on, that is not the $20 difference or even $100 difference or even several $100 difference, right? If you are good at communicating and connecting with people around what their unique problem is and how you see that problem, you recognize it, and you can bridge the gap between where they are and where they want to be and show that your program or offering is the answer to that, then you immediately become priceless. And it doesn't matter that the person down the street has 3 more rowers than you or a bigger facility than you. They see you as a solution to something that runs all the way to their core. And that's what makes you priceless. So getting out of just saying the same things everyone else does and doing the same things, right? This has to come through in your marketing messaging so that you attract the people who you can solve problems for. And then everything in your process needs to reflect that: your sales process, your membership offerings, your onboarding, your integration process. The entire flow should be about putting this problem out there, then connecting and on a one-to-one level, being able to articulate that I see your problem, let's solve that problem, here's exactly how we're going to do it, and making sure that your processes actually help get people there. And guess what? Next thing you know, people become raving fans because you've actually addressed the big issue for them, and they feel like you get them, and you were the one who solved it for them, right? And you're the hero. The brand is the hero. And guess what? Nobody cares that you're the most expensive game in town, because you're the one actually solving the problem rather than selling a gym membership.
Absolutely. So you're telling me that it's not just about having somebody try a free class and then telling them the options and letting them pick, and you should be digging deep with people, right?
Yes,
Sometimes it requires having some uncomfortable conversations and asking this new person that you've never met before, hey, why did you come here today? Let me ask you about what you're struggling with in your life and see if we're a good fit to solve this problem for you. So sometimes, yeah, it does require you to get out of your comfort zone a bit, but I spent an hour with a new client this week in a jumpstart session. And we just talked for an hour, and I uncovered a lot of things that you probably wouldn't normally tell a stranger. And she signed up without even trying a class. You know, she felt seen, she felt heard, and she felt like we were the gym to help her out of this place, that this dark place that she's in. So yeah, it does take some time in the front end, but I think that you are rewarded in spades because, like you said, these people will turn into raving fans.
And that's the goal, right? Yeah. If your goal is to play the churn and burn game and just bring people in high volume, collect as much money as you can, knowing that they'll be gone in 3 months, 6 months anyway, that's fine. But that's a totally different business model than what we're describing here. What we're describing is the business that stands the test of time, where the goal is to stack lifers. We want to have people stick around for as long as possible at the highest average client value possible, so that it's a win-win, right? They go well beyond their goal and not just go maybe from sick to well, but well to fit, right? And actually get people living on a completely new level, right? And compounding that success over and over, right? And then the business we don't have to acquire as aggressively. And when you have raving fans, you get referrals much more naturally. It's just part of the process, right? And you're able to make a great living. You don't have to have 90 people on staff. You don't have to have a 10,000 square foot facility to make a great living doing what you love.
You don't have to learn the latest update to the Facebook algorithm and what the heck advertising is like now, because people are doing that work for you. They're bringing people in because you have solved their problem. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Exactly right. And the thing is too, is like, I mean, you know, I know you say that kind of in jest, like, well, you don't have to learn the new thing. And the thing is that it's not that those things don't matter. It's not that you as a business owner don't need to pay attention to how the tools that you use to communicate matter. The point is that it's not what makes or breaks you, right? Absolutely. Your core business should be able to thrive organically without the need for aggressive ad campaigns or initiatives on the front end to just get as many people in. Now, there are going to be certain markets that are more competitive and where you are going to need to maybe put a little bit on the front end. But the point is that it should be a force multiplier to a great organic strategy to just get more attention to it than a complete replacement for doing right by your clients by connecting and solving problems for people.
Yeah, absolutely. This brings me back to the beginning when I asked you, what is some advice that you received that you didn't listen to and wish you had? Mm-hmm. So Marcus, you gave me a piece of advice that I didn't listen to and I wish I had. And I sent you a text earlier this week and I said, this is where I'm telling you that you were right. And we changed something about our business fairly recently. And it matched what you had given us the advice on. So that is that we were offering limited memberships. Okay. So we were offering people 2 or 3 times a week memberships. They weren't in a contract. Most people were in a contract, but these were options on our service suite. So what ended up happening is it became a churn and burn. These memberships were fairly popular. They didn't have to commit to a length of time to get on them. They weren't, committing to an unlimited, coming every day to the gym kind of membership. But what ended up happening is they didn't really commit at all, right? So we started getting cancellation after cancellation, and I was looking at it and I was like, all of these people are on our limited memberships and they mentally did not commit from the beginning. So we did a bad job there and we completely got rid of them. And I think that we are on a really good path now, but I wish I would have taken your advice.
By the way, Emily, those are my very favorite text messages to receive. I'm going to start by telling you were right. And I'm like, go on. You have my interest.
Tell me more.
But no, what you're bringing up here is it's a pretty big issue in our space because it was the norm for a long time to offer 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, unlimited, and have this like crazy matrix of options. And then if you had contracts or no contracts and these are and these aren't, or you've got a 3, 6, 12 option for these and these, it was bananas. First of all, it's just information overload for your people. But the bigger issue though, is that what you're doing is you're giving people the option to choose something that inherently won't get them to their goal, no matter how hard they try. And if they don't get to their goal, which means they didn't solve the problem, that means you're on the hook now for having sold a program that still was probably far more expensive than they're used to paying for a membership, but still didn't solve the problem. So now you lose too, because you had to go through all the same effort to market for that person, acquire that person, try to integrate that person, only to have them leave and screw up your whole overall average on average client value, let alone length of engagement. Right. And not to mention, you have these people in your community who just aren't bought in the same way. So they also inherently aren't going to mesh the same way as people who are just all in on their dream of solving this problem. Right.
So true. When I think about like the people, we do a lot of fun events throughout the year. And when I think about the people who show up to the events, there are unlimited members in a contract. Like that's it. The limited members weren't coming to those events. They weren't showing up to classes. Even, 8 times a month, you're not going to see a whole lot of results, but you're not going to see the people and become invested in the community either, because you're not creating those relationships just coming that little. So
sure.
Absolutely.
And it's not that there aren't exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, that's why we do not typically advise gym owners to have limited and unlimited memberships, because that is exactly it. You are giving people the option to sign up for a service that won't get them the results, that will therefore shorten their length of engagement. They won't have the same buy-in. They won't integrate in the community. It's literally all the things on the list of what you don't want to have happen. And what you've designed, if you're doing your job right, you've designed all of your systems to do, right? The whole point is I want you to get results and integrate and make friends and stick around for a long time, refer friends and family, buy programs, products, etc. And now none of that's happening. Right? Only because you're like, wow, but I wanted to offer a cheaper membership for those people who just want to come in a couple days a week. Right? Yep. Again, not that there aren't circumstances where that can work, but for most gym owners, that's not what they're after. They're after getting people to come in and stick around for a long time and fully buy in, and to have a far more cohesive like culture, and just, from attendance to just the vibe in the classes, the event attendance and all that, where everyone's kind of treated much more on the same level and participates on the same level, rather than, well, I've got this group over here that's kind of not in, they've got one foot out the door already, and these are the rest of our real members. Doesn't feel good for them either.
Yep.
Right. So thank you for sharing that with everyone. Awesome.
Sometimes the best way to learn is just to make mistakes.
Totally. And so I think the goal here is to make your gym a more goal-oriented facility that solves valuable problems for its members, and therefore makes you priceless. It helps make your content, if you're obviously you want this to be reflected in your content, being specific around, this is the problem that we solve better than anyone in the world, because this is what we're naturally really good at. All of our skills support this, our resources support this. This is what we love doing. These are the types of people we like to help. And then make sure you're communicating that on the front end. This is going to help you cut through the noise in your marketing so that you stand out. And by the way, no, this is not just like you're going to do this and overnight you're going to have this windfall of leads. This is like anyone's like fitness. Like this takes time to build some momentum in your marketplace, but this is what works long-term, right? Just like you want your members to get results long-term. I don't want you to lose 20 pounds in 2 months and then you're right back to your terrible lifestyle and feeling insecure. Point is, I want you to solve the problem. And then, hey, look, this is your new normal. Now let's make a new goal and let's go do that, right? Yeah. So it helps you cut through the noise with your marketing. When it comes to sales, what it does is it gets people to buy for the right reason. They're not buying because you're $10 cheaper or because you've got the extra equipment or you've got the bigger facility. They're buying because they see the solution to their problem through your service, and they feel seen, they feel recognized, and it helps with the integration and all the retention stuff and literally everything that's on the list. So,
is it better for the client or the prospective client. But I think from a sales perspective, it makes the sales process easier from the gym owner's standpoint or for whoever's doing the sales. Because when a lot of people get that icky feeling to ask for money, and I don't know, sales process just makes them feel uncomfortable. But when you approach it with the mindset of, okay, this person is coming in here with a problem. How can I help you solve this problem that you're having? And it almost just evolves into this very natural conversation where, at the end, and you're presenting them with, here's the solution to your problem, rather than here are our prices, let's get a card on file, you know what I mean? Then it just makes the sales process flow and feel really easy, and like you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're not like tricking them into something or whatever. So
100%. I couldn't agree with you more, because so many, I think people in this space particularly, they don't come from a sales background, and selling does make a lot of people really uncomfortable. And that comes across because now you're not confident. And then someone, acknowledges that you're not confident and you're not getting sales. And it's a snowball of uncomfortable. And it can really change that for you overnight by simply approaching it from the point of solving the problem, which really now you're just the coach, right? This is what you do with members. Once you feel like they've bought in, you're like, great, what do you want to do? Here's how we can do it. Here's exactly how we need to do this. We're going to do that. And all of a sudden it flows like, oh, great. You know how to do that? Thanks, coach. Awesome. We'll do that. You simply, instead of having to put your sales hat on for your intros, you're just putting your coaching hat on, or leaving it on for that matter. And you get to just show up and be present for this person, knowing that we solve problems for people every day and we're really good at it. This person just came to me with a problem. Let me try to figure out what it is. Let's connect. I want to make you feel comfortable and safe. Then let's peel those layers of the onion back and get to those real issues. And when they see that that someone is paying attention and really caring about all that, which inherently is the coach, this is what you practice doing every day. You are able to make that connection. They can see the value far more clearly, and it helps get that yes, because you're, like you said, we're not saying, great, now pick the membership that you want to pay for. Instead, it's like, hey, we've got these options. This one's good. This one's better based on your goals, Emily. You want to come, we're going to need to see you 4 or 5 days a week, you blah, 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 and so on. Prescriptive selling, right?
I've never heard anybody describe it that way. Like, just put your coach hat on and help them solve the problem. I love that way of thinking about sales. Love it.
Thank you. Awesome. Glad it resonated with you. Awesome. Well, anything else you think we should add, Emily?
Listen to your coaches, guys. Listen to the people that have gone before you. They might know what they're talking about.
I'm at Public I Told You So, my favorite. Awesome. All right. Well, Emily, thank you for joining us or joining me today and having the chat. And thank you everyone else for joining us here today. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you're interested in learning how we can help you with your business, visit gymbreakthrough.com/apply. Apply for a breakthrough session with me. We'll get to know you. We'll see where you are, figure out where you want to go, and see if we can help you get there. Either way, hope to see you on another episode again soon. Until then, bye. Bye. Now I got to figure out how to turn off this Facebook live stream.
We need a tech person.